Hey everyone, and welcome back to DemoHub Pod. You know us, your one-stop shop for all things cutting-edge tech and AI, all powered by AI, of course. Today we're diving deep into a field that's going to completely change how we build and use technology. We're talking about multimodal AI.
It's exciting stuff. We're moving beyond looking at just one type of data, like just text or images. Multimodal AI can process and learn from lots of different types of data all at the same time, like text, images, audio, you name it. It's a total game changer for creating AI that's more intuitive, more adaptable, and a lot smarter too.
So we're talking AI that can look at text, images, audio, even sensor data, all at the same time. That's next level.
Exactly. It can really change the game. Imagine you're building a customer service chatbot. Instead of just reading what the customer types, this new AI can also analyze how they're speaking. It could tell if a customer is frustrated or happy just from their tone of voice.
Wow.
That opens up a lot of possibilities to make that interaction more personalized and more empathetic too.
Yeah. That's incredible for user experience. It's like AI is finally starting to get how we communicate.
Right. And this isn't just for chatbots. Think about healthcare. What if AI could analyze medical images, patient records, and even genomic data all together?
Okay, now that's just mind-blowing. I mean, that lead to diagnoses way earlier, and they'd be more accurate.
Exactly.
So how does all of this work? What are the core technologies that make this kind of AI possible?
There are a few big ones. First, there's natural language processing, or NLP. NLP helps AI understand human language.
So like sentiment analysis,
No.
language translation, text summarization.
No, exactly. NLP is all about giving AI the ability to read and understand text like we do.
That's amazing. So NLP lets AI read.
Right. Then there's computer vision. That's how AI can see and understand images and videos.
So object recognition, image classification.
You got it. It can even understand the whole scene.
Wow. Now AI can not only read, but it can actually see and understand what it's looking at.
And here's the thing. To make all the magic happen, you have to combine these technologies with something called multimodal fusion. Multimodal fusion is how we combine the insights from each of those different sources: text, images, audio. It's about weaving them together so the AI gets a richer understanding, a more holistic understanding of what it's looking at.
It's like having a bunch of AI specialists, each with their own expertise.
Yeah.
And they're all coming together to solve this really complex problem.
I like that analogy. That's a great way to think about it. And that collaborative power is what's pushing the development of these really incredible applications across all sorts of industries.
Well, our listeners are definitely eager to hear about those applications. So where's multimodal AI already making waves?
One of the biggest areas where it's having a huge impact is in financial fraud detection. Imagine this. Instead of just looking at transactions, multimodal AI can look at a user's browsing history, their typing patterns, even how they use their phone. It's like an AI detective. But it's super perceptive, catching all these tiny clues that a human might miss.
That sounds like a total game changer for security.
Absolutely. Another example is autonomous driving. Self-driving cars really depend on multimodal AI to navigate safely. They're processing tons of data, from cameras, lidar, radar, GPS, and even the driver's behavior.
Wow.
They have to make split-second decisions, so they need to understand their environment completely.
It sounds like multimodal AI is making autonomous vehicles way safer and more reliable.
For sure. And these are just a couple examples. It's also being used in healthcare, customer service, education, even in creative industries.
It seems like the potential is huge. I know we have some real-world examples from our sources. Can you tell us about OpenAI's DLE? What makes that such a great example of multimodal AI?
DLE is incredible. It shows how NLP and computer vision can work together. It generates artwork from descriptions you type in.
Oh, way.
Yeah. You could type in something like a robot playing chess on the moon with a cat wearing a spacesuit. And DAE can actually create a picture from that.
That's like an AI artist.
Right. And it can bring your wildest ideas to life. It's not just making pretty pictures. It's about AI translating human imagination into something visual.
It really blurs the line between the digital and physical world.
Another great example is Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. They have a whole suite of tools for businesses that want to use multimodal AI. It's everything from speech and image recognition to sentiment analysis and language translation.
So it's giving companies easier access to this technology.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there are some challenges that come with all of this. It can't be all smooth sailing, right?
You're right. There are definitely some hurdles. One of the biggest challenges is data quality and availability. These models need massive amounts of data to train properly, and the data needs to be diverse, well-labeled, and super high quality.
Data is always the key, isn't it?
Mm.
What about on the technical side?
The computational complexity and scalability can be a bottleneck. These models are really demanding. And as they get more complex, and the datasets get bigger, they need even more power.
So we need better and more powerful computers.
That's one part of the solution. But researchers are also working on optimizing the models. They're trying to make the algorithms and architectures more efficient. That way they can use less power, but still work just as well.
It sounds like a multi-pronged approach.
It is. We need to look at both the hardware and the software.
Okay. So we have the data challenges, the computational hurdles. It seems like a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
But what about potential problems once these systems are actually being used? Are there concerns about misuse?
That's an important point. Any powerful technology can be misused, and multimodal AI is no different. One concern is deepfakes. Imagine videos or audio that are so realistic that you can't tell they're fake. That can have a huge impact on things like elections and people's reputations.
That is a little scary. It seems like it'd be hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
Are there any other areas we should be careful about?
Surveillance and privacy are also concerns. Multimodal AI can analyze data from all kinds of sources. CCTV footage, social media activity, even personal devices.
I can see how that could be useful for security, but it could also be used for mass surveillance.
Exactly. There's a very fine line.
So we need to think about the benefits, but also the risks, and make sure there are safeguards in place.
Absolutely. That's why regulation and ethical guidelines are so important. We need to make sure this technology is used for good and that we avoid any potential harm.
It's not just about building cool tech, it's about building tech responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that needs to include everyone, not just technologists, but also policymakers, ethicists, and a general public. We need to work together to make sure this technology benefits society as a whole.
That's a great point. So we've talked about challenges, potential problems, and all these exciting possibilities. But how do you see multimodal AI shaping our relationship with technology in the future?
I think we're about to see a huge shift in how we interact with technology. As AI gets better at understanding the world and responding to the world in a human-like way, the line between the physical and digital is going to get blurrier. We're going to see more and more devices and systems that are intuitive, personalized, and seamlessly integrated into our lives.
So it's less about screens and buttons and more about natural interactions.
Exactly. Imagine controlling your devices with your voice, your gestures, or even your thoughts. Imagine AI assistants that know what you need before you even ask.
That sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it's getting closer and closer to reality. And that brings up some really interesting questions about the future of work, the nature of creativity, and even what it means to be human.
Those are some big questions. I'd love to hear what our listeners think. How do you see multimodal AI impacting your work and your life? Leave your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. And stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive. We'll be exploring some resources and tools you can use to learn more about this amazing field.
So one of the biggest challenges with multimodal AI is making sure the data is good and that we have enough of it. We need huge data sets. And they can't just be big, they need to be diverse too, and accurately labeled. And when you're working with multiple types of data, text, images, audio, sensor data, it gets really complex. It's not easy to collect all that data. Then you have to clean it and label it. It's a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like a logistical nightmare. So how are researchers dealing with this data problem?
One way is to use synthetic data, basically. We can create artificial data using AI to add to the real-world data sets. That can be really helpful when real data is hard to find, or when you just don't have enough of it.
So AI can actually help solve its own data problems.
Exactly. Another area of focus is improving data annotation, making the process of labeling the data more efficient. We can even use AI to help with that.
That's fascinating. What about the computational demands? We talked about how processing all this data requires a lot of power. Is that still a big obstacle?
It's definitely still a hurdle. These multimodal AI systems, they can be really complex. And as they get more complex and the data sets get larger, we need more and more computing power.
So we need better computers.
That's part of it. But researchers are also trying to optimize the models themselves. They're developing better algorithms and better model architectures so they can reduce the computational burden without losing performance. Cloud computing and distributed computing are also important.
It's like we're attacking the problem from both sides, hardware and software.
Right.
Okay. So we have the data challenges, the computational hurdles. It seems like a lot to overcome. But what about the potential risks once these systems are out in the world? Are there concerns about how this technology could be misused?
That's a really important point. Any powerful technology has the potential for misuse, and multimodal AI is no different. One concern is deepfakes. With this technology, we could create incredibly realistic deepfakes, videos or audio recordings that are almost impossible to detect as fake.
That's a scary thought.
Imagine videos of politicians saying things they never actually said, or audio recordings that could be used to damage someone's reputation.
It would be hard to know what to believe.
Right. The line between reality and fabrication could become really blurry.
Are there any other areas where we need to be careful?
Definitely. Surveillance and privacy are also big concerns. With multimodal AI, it's possible to analyze huge amounts of data from different sources. Think about CCTV footage, social media activity, even data from your personal devices.
Right. The data could be used to improve security,
It could.
but it could also be used for mass surveillance.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
It's important to think about the benefits, but also the risks.
We need to have the right safeguards in place to prevent misuse.
So regulations and ethical guidelines are going to be crucial.
They are. We need to think carefully about how to use this technology for good and how to minimize any potential harm.
It's not just about building cool technology, it's about building it responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that needs to involve everyone, not just the people building the technology. We need input from policymakers, ethicists, and the public.
We need to make sure this technology aligns with our values as a society.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, the potential downsides,
Yeah.
and all the amazing possibilities. But what about the bigger picture? How do you see multimodal AI changing our relationship with technology in the long run?
I think we're at the beginning of a major shift. AI systems are becoming more and more like humans. They're getting better at understanding and responding to the world around them. And that means the line between the physical world and the digital world is going to get blurrier. We're going to see a lot more intelligent devices and systems that are more intuitive, more personalized, and more integrated into our lives.
So instead of interacting with screens and buttons,
Yeah,
we'll be interacting with technology in a more natural way.
exactly. Imagine controlling your devices with your voice, or with gestures, or even with your thoughts.
Wow.
Imagine AI assistants that know what you need before you even ask.
It sounds like science fiction.
It does, but it's getting closer and closer.
That raises a lot of interesting questions
Yeah.
about the future of work, the nature of creativity, and even what it means to be human in a world with intelligent machines.
Those are some big questions, and I'm excited to see how they unfold.
Me too. I'd love to hear what our listeners think. How do you see multimodal AI shaping your work and your life? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive. We'll be talking about some resources and tools you can use to learn more about this fascinating field. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into multimodal AI. We've talked about the technology itself, the potential applications, and even some of the ethical considerations. Now I want to give our listeners some resources so you can learn more about this technology and maybe even start experimenting with it yourselves.
There's a ton of information out there, if you like to read. Websites like the Association for Computing Machinery and Towards Data Science are great places to start. They have articles, research papers, and tutorials on all sorts of AI topics, including multimodal AI.
Those sound like great resources. What if someone wants to actually build something?
There are some amazing platforms for that too, like Super Annotate. Super Annotate has tools specifically for building and annotating data sets. And you need those data sets to train multimodal models.
So you can actually build your own model.
Yeah, you can get some hands-on experience with the technology.
That's awesome.
And if you want to explore the more practical side of things, cloud platforms like Microsoft Azure are a great option. They have a bunch of AI services, including some designed for multimodal applications. You can use their pre-trained models and APIs, so you don't have to build everything from scratch.
That's really cool. So there's a path for everyone.
Exactly, whether you're a researcher, a developer, or just someone who's curious about AI.
Well said.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought. Multimodal AI isn't just a new technology. It's a completely new way of thinking about and interacting with AI.
It is. We're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. By allowing AI to process information from so many different sources.
It's going to make AI more intuitive,
Yes.
more adaptable,
Right.
and it's going to be more aligned with how we experience the world as humans.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Multimodal AI is definitely a field to watch, whether you're a tech professional, a researcher, or just someone who's interested in the future of technology.
It's an exciting time.
It is. I want to thank you for walking us through all of this. This has been a fascinating deep dive.
My pleasure.
And to all of our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and share it, subscribe to the podcast, and leave us a review. It really helps other people find the show. And we'll be back next time with another deep dive into the world of cutting-edge tech and AI, all powered by AI, of course. Until then, keep innovating, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries into air.